Every holiday has its own traditions. For most presidents, Thanksgiving is the one moment they can pause everything, politics, rivalries, pressure, and just smile for the cameras while rescuing a turkey from becoming dinner. But this year something was different. Instead of the usual light-hearted ceremony, the event turned into something no one expected. A public showcase of frustration, pettiness, and bizarre rambling that left even his closest staff staring in disbelief. A day that should have been harmless suddenly revealed the mood of a president who seemed more cornered, more irritated, and more desperate than he wants anyone to know. And the second he grabbed the microphone, everyone realized the holiday energy was gone, and the spectacle had officially begun. The Thanksgiving turkey pardon has always been one of the rare bipartisan moments in politics. Every president jokes a little, waves at the cameras, and sends a couple of birds into retirement. But this year the room felt different even before Trump stepped out. Staff members whispered that he'd been in a sour mood all week. Rumors online even suggested that he'd barely slept, pacing around the West Wing and complaining about the people undermining him. Nothing confirmed, but the tension was obvious. And when Trump finally stepped up to the podium, he didn't open with gratitude or humor. Instead, he made a quick comment that sounded innocent at first. "This is a big day. It's a pardon day for a very important beast." But then, without skipping a beat, he pointedly added, "No, not Barron." The crowd gave a small, confused laugh, unsure if they were supposed to react. For a holiday moment, it already felt strangely sharp. Then everything took a sharper turn. Trump started comparing what Thanksgiving used to be under him versus what the country had fallen into. And with every sentence he drifted further from tradition until the entire ceremony felt like a political rally wrapped in feathers. The more he spoke, the clearer it became. This wasn't about turkeys at all. It was about something bubbling inside him that he couldn't hold back anymore. And that's when he brought up the one name no one expected to hear at a turkey event. Just as the crowd was adjusting to the odd tone, Trump suddenly announced that he had officially invalidated Joe Biden's turkey pardons from last year. The reaction was instant. Some people laughed because they assumed it was a joke. Others weren't so sure. The way Trump said it, straight face, serious tone, made it unclear whether he meant it as humor or a genuine act of petty revenge. He then launched into a long description of how Pam Bondi and every department you can imagine supposedly investigated the previous year's turkey pardon. He spoke as if Biden had committed some massive violation by using an autopen. No one had ever questioned an autopen for something as trivial as a turkey pardon, but here Trump was, turning it into a national scandal. He claimed the pardon was invalid, that a thorough review proved it, and that he was restoring presidential order. People started glancing at each other. Was this really happening? Trump didn't stop there. He added, "I have the official duty to determine that last year's turkey pardons are totally invalid." The tone was half anger, half dramatic theater. And then, in classic Trump fashion, he took an easy swing. Sleepy Joe used an autopen. Again, the political jabs landed in a place where no one expected them. The audience wasn't sure whether to laugh or cringe. Online, commentators later joked that Trump might have brought up Biden's turkey pardon because he felt overshadowed by news coverage earlier that week. Reports claim he'd been complaining privately that television networks were focusing too much on Biden and not giving him the attention he believed he deserved. Nothing confirmed, but the timing did look suspiciously personal. After Biden, Trump shifted his attention to the broader Biden family. In one breath, he claimed to be rescinding almost every prior pardon except, "Where's Hunter?" And the way he said it, with a smirk, told the whole story. The turkey event had fully transformed into a stage for frustration disguised as humor. He joked about Ashley. He made a casual remark about Jill. He took aim at Hunter for no clear reason other than habit. A ceremony that should have celebrated Thanksgiving had turned into a laundry list of old grievances and running jokes he just couldn't let go of. Every time he mentioned a Biden, the tone sharpened. It was almost like he couldn't help himself. Even the turkeys weren't safe from his commentary. He joked that they were drug-free, unlike a certain Ashley. The crowd gave a nervous laugh, but it was obvious many people felt it crossed a line. Observers later said they'd never seen a president use a holiday tradition to attack his political opponents so intensely. Some political analysts speculated that Trump was intentionally using humor as a shield, slipping his frustrations into jokes so he could later claim it was all in good fun. Again, speculation, not facts, but anyone watching could feel the tension behind the smile. Right after mocking the Bidens, Trump casually pivoted to one of the most shocking lines of the entire event. He joked that his staff had drafted paperwork to ship gobble and waddle straight to the terrorist confinement center in El Salvador. The crowd froze. The prison he was referring to is infamous online. Massive, harsh, and controversial. Mentioning it during a Thanksgiving turkey pardon ceremony felt almost surreal. It was like watching someone veer between stand-up comedy, political rally, and grim policy announcement, all in the same breath. Trump then praised the El Salvador president's efficiency in running the massive facility. The crowd didn't know whether to applaud. Some clapped hesitantly. Others looked away. It was obvious the mood had shifted. Gratitude had disappeared. The holiday warmth was gone. Analysts debated later why he brought it up. Some said he was signaling toughness on immigration. Others suggested that he'd recently watched a viral documentary about the prison and was simply obsessed with the topic. Rumors suggest he had brought it up repeatedly in private meetings that week. Nothing verified, just speculation circulating among people familiar with his mood. But regardless of the reason, the choice was strange. Joking about sending turkeys to a prison known for torture allegations wasn't just odd, it was unsettling. Right after the prison remarks, Trump shifted direction once again, this time targeting Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. Trump claimed he had a cute joke about Pritzker's size but was choosing not to say it. Then, seconds later, he called him a fat slob. The contradiction was classic Trump. Creating a boundary, then breaking it, then claiming credit for restraint that never existed. The crowd didn't know what to do. Some people laughed uncomfortably. Others looked shocked. The White House staff looked like they wanted to vanish right into the ground. The humor wasn't just sharp, it was mean-spirited, and the timing made it worse. A Thanksgiving celebration should highlight warmth, generosity, and unity. Instead, Trump was mocking an elected official's body while claiming he didn't want to talk about people being fat. Clips spread quickly across social media. Thousands of people pointed out the obvious contradiction. Commentators dug up past moments, many past moments, where Trump had called Pritzker a big fat slob without hesitation. People joked that Trump had shown self-control for exactly 0.2 seconds, and it wasn't far from the truth. As the turkey stood beside him, Trump glanced at them and said he'd originally considered naming them Chuck and Nancy. It was a jab at Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, a pair he rarely misses the chance to criticize. But this time it felt particularly pointed. He said he wouldn't pardon them, no matter what Melania told him. The crowd reacted with an uneasy blend of laughter and discomfort. It was clear that Pelosi still lived rent-free in his mind. Even years after leaving the speakership, she remained one of his favorite targets. Then Trump referenced a previous moment from the campaign trail, where he'd mocked Pelosi's husband Paul after he'd been injured during a break-in. It wasn't surprising. Trump has a history of personal comments, but bringing it up again at a Thanksgiving event felt deeply inappropriate. Analysts later said his fixation on Pelosi often flares during times of political pressure. Reports claim that anytime he feels cornered, he reverts to his most familiar targets, Pelosi, Schumer, and the Bidens. It's a pattern seen repeatedly, though no official source confirms the psychological reasoning behind it. Months earlier, during the annual Easter egg roll, a day that's supposed to be all sunshine, candy, and kids running around the South Lawn, Trump delivered one of the most bewildering moments of his presidency. Parents came expecting laughter, photo ops, and maybe a couple of light jokes. Instead, they got a full-blown military briefing from a president who seemed to forget that his audience wasn't Congress, wasn't the Pentagon, and definitely wasn't a group of policy analysts. It was preschoolers in bunny ears. The moment he picked up the mic, he launched straight into a detailed rant about recruitment numbers across every branch of the military. He started comparing active duty versus reserve rates, re-enlistment bonuses, changes to fitness standards, and even GI Bill adjustments, as if a 5-year-old clutching a pastel basket was dying to hear about demographic shifts in the eligible service population. Parents looked around in disbelief, whispering to each other, unsure if this was some kind of strange joke or if Trump had actually forgotten where he was. Meanwhile, the Easter Bunny volunteer standing beside him didn't move an inch. The poor person in that giant suit just stood frozen, trying to figure out whether to hop away or pretend this was all normal. Kids stared blankly, waiting for candy while Trump explained the nuanced differences in recruitment cycles. The disconnect was almost comical. It felt like watching a math professor try to lecture a room full of toddlers who just wanted stickers. Clips from the event spread instantly online. Commentators joked that Trump had managed to turn even a children's holiday into a platform for airing his favorite talking points. And analysts noted that it fit a pattern. Whenever Trump has a microphone, even at an event meant purely for fun, something inside him pushes every moment toward politics, grievance, or self-praise. Even an Easter celebration couldn't escape it. Then came the moment that truly summed everything up, not on a stage, not at a holiday event, but in a single online post that spread across the internet within minutes. On Juneteenth, a day meant to honor liberation and the first steps toward freedom for millions, Trump logged onto social media and complained that America had too many non-working holidays. He insisted that shutting down businesses for celebrations was costing the country billions of dollars, a message already tone-deaf for the day. But what made it even stranger was where he posted it from. The background behind the text gave it away immediately. The glossy white tiles, the unmistakable trim, the lighting. Within moments, people online identified it as the Lincoln bathroom. Trump had chosen one of the most symbolically loaded rooms in the White House to complain about a holiday marking the end of slavery. Screenshots exploded across social feeds. Some people laughed, others were stunned. Many simply asked, why that room? And why that message? Historians pointed out the irony. Commentators called it insensitive. Supporters tried to spin it as Trump being focused on economic issues, but the optics were impossible to ignore. A day meant for reflection had turned into another example of how easily Trump could turn even the most meaningful moments into personal grievances. And when you place this moment alongside the Thanksgiving meltdown, the Easter egg roll speech, and the countless smaller outbursts, a pattern becomes unmistakable. Every holiday, every tradition, every microphone becomes the same stage, one where he airs frustration, settles old scores, and paints himself as the one being wronged. In the end, it wasn't just a Juneteenth post. It was a reminder that for Trump, no event is sacred, no celebration is safe, and even a national moment of remembrance can turn into another chapter in his endless cycle of grievance.